welcome back to another video. So in today's video, I do want to share a dream that I received on Mother's Day, which was May 8th. Before I get into the dream, I do want to say that I hope that all of you beautiful mothers out there had a beautiful, peaceful, restful, joyous Mother's Day. I know some of you, for different reasons, Mother's Day can be very difficult. And I just want you to know that I'm truly sorry for your pain and just for what you endured during that time. I often mention on here that my aunt actually passed, one of my aunts passed away a few years ago on Mother's Day. So I know that Mother's Day can be a trigger to some people, but I hope that you all felt God's love and comfort over you on that day. And I just wanted to say that before I get into this dream. So again, I did have this dream on Mother's Day, which was May 8th. And I'm going to basically be looking at my notes so I don't leave out any details. I was very surprised, I will say, by what was shown to me on this particular day. Some of you may remember on Mother's Day 2 years ago, which Mother's Day fell on May 10th in 2020. I had a very interesting dream, and in that particular dream I was shown some things pertaining to the youth. And also, interestingly, there were other factors of that dream, and I will link the video up here so you guys can take a look if you haven't seen it or if you want to refresh yourself. But what's very fascinating with that dream is I remember telling you guys that I heard the word governance spoken in my right ear. And I told you all I, at the time, was not very familiar with that term. So when I woke up from that dream, I looked it up. And fast forward, here it is, the Lord is showing me another dream on Mother's Day pertaining to the youth. Just to kind of throw something out there, was fascinating as well, just because of what we've been hearing in the news. I told you again that in that particular dream I heard the word governance. So here it is, a few weeks ago, we've been hearing in the news about how the Department of Homeland Security created a disinformation governance board. And of course, you know, there have been talks of trying to, you know, get it to where this is not something that they can go through with, because it's just going to further censor our right to freedom of speech, and you know, just what the government wants to deem as what is true and what is false. So we definitely can see a lot of sinister things going on just with that alone. But I thought it was very peculiar that this would be something that they would create pertaining to a governance board. And I've been really meditating on the dream that God showed me on Mother's Day 2 years ago, because I'm wondering if me hearing the word governance was a way to point me to a time or to a season when everything that was shown to me in that particular dream was going to start coming to pass. So I'm not saying 100% that's what I believe the Lord is saying. This is just kind of how I've been thinking. So with that being said, let's go into the dream. So the way the dream started out, I was in a school setting, and it was made known that this was a high school, and there were many people that were a part of this scene, and they were all represented as high school students. It was also made known to me that there was only one more day left before graduation was going to take place. So the scene ended up being where we went from the high school to now I'm seeing everybody on this school bus. Now the school bus is driving. It's being perceived as it's about to take everybody that's on the bus to their destination, but the bus ended up veering over to the side of the road. And she made it a point to tell everybody she needed to clean the windshields. So she got off the bus, and I noticed that, you know how when you want to clean your windshields, you use the automatic sprayer, the windshield wiper cleaner spray, and you'll see it start to spray the windshield, and then the wipers will clean the residue off. That's what was being shown, but for whatever reason she literally got off the bus and this started happening on its own. So once the windshield became clean, she got back on the bus and she proceeded to drive. So now we're thinking, okay, she's about to drop everybody off to their destination. Well, she pulls over again, and this particular place, nobody knew where they were. And for whatever reason, she wasn't able to take them any further. So you could see people confused. They were upset because they felt like she should have let them know so they could have made further arrangements to have somebody pick them up. And then it was shown where everybody had to get off of this school bus. She was giving directions to those who were inquiring about how do they get home from where they were, and she was giving everybody directions. But in order for you to get to where you needed to go, you had to go on foot. So after that scene, you could see people going into different directions. Now, I saw myself at this point, and my husband was next to me. And me and my husband, we were walking to see, where everybody was going. And there was a group of people who were headed in a direction, but we didn't feel that was the right direction. So we went an opposite way. And when we turned around, there was an elevator, and we got on the elevator. Once we got off of the elevator, there were two single file lines of nothing but high school students. And the way they looked like they were just not there. Like they were just standing there, kind of zoned out. But one by one, they were approaching this guy who it seemed to be was a supplier of a particular beverage. At the time, I didn't know what type of beverage it was. I thought at the time it was like some type of soda, and he was pouring it from a spout of some sort, and it was pouring into a glass, a very clear glass. And when he would fill it up, everyone that would come one by one in this line would drink out of this cup from a straw. And once they consumed all of it, then the next person would step up. So as I'm seeing this, me and my husband, we did not get in the line. We were moving towards the front of the line to see what was going on. And as I was observing this, I noticed that the bottle that was being poured in these clear glasses, it said bourbon written on the bottle. And me and my husband, we knew that we wasn't going to consume it. So we went from that situation outside. Now, once I entered outside, my husband was no longer there. And now I was seeing everything from a different view. So I no longer played a part from this point on. Now the scene changed, and this time I could see again many people. They were just kind of wandering on this path. and it looked like just a regular pathway, and it was dark outside. It was nighttime. And all of a sudden, as people were just kind of walking, just trying to figure out where they go next, the earth literally just opened up from underneath this walkway, this path that everybody was walking on. And as the earth opened up, the people that were already walking in the midst of where it opened immediately fell in. And oh my gosh, this is what gives me the creeps. When I saw what was inside of the earth after it opened, I could see what looked to be creatures that were covered in some type of stretchy material. So when they move, it was like whatever was on them would stretch. It was very creepy, something you would see in a horror movie. And there were groans and moans of sounds that was coming from these creatures. And it was like they were, the moans would get louder because they knew they were about to be fed by these people who ended up falling into the earth. After I saw that, there were other people that were literally hanging on by their nails. And this is what really just took me, like it was so hard to watch this scene because I felt so helpless. It's like you're seeing someone who's fighting for their life and there's nothing that they can do to save themselves. There's nothing or no one around them that can save them from just a horrendous type of way to die. And it seemed like at this point it zoomed in to the hands, how it was hanging. And it's like where they were hanging, it was like they were right there where it cracked, where the earth opened, and they were trying to gain strength to pull themselves out of it, but there was no way they could get out of that situation. And I just saw them just falling into this earth. After I saw that, the next scene, it was like I was watching a breaking news, and I'm looking at a TV screen, and it's a news segment, and they're talking about this event that had just took place, which is what I was seeing in this particular dream. And you could see from a distance, as they were filming the location, you could see from a distance this smoke and debris kind of going up into the air, which was depicting the actual area where all of this had took place. Now, I don't know why the newscaster said that a bridge had collapsed. When I was looking at what had took place, it looked like just a normal pathway, just a normal walkway that you would walk on. But when I was looking at the news, she described it as a bridge had collapsed. And when she said that, I could see the mothers crying. And they were crying because of the children that they had lost. And as they were showing the mothers crying, you could see images of pictures of the students who did not survive. And I know one of the mothers ended up losing 2 of her daughters in this accident. And it was very heartbreaking to witness this again, because, as a mother, as a parent, you feel for them. Another thing that they said on the news was that these people had been stranded for 3 days. Now, everything that I was being shown, it didn't seem like 3 days had passed, but there were actually 3 days. And another factor that I forgot to mention was there were situations within this particular setting before the earth had opened up, where it was known that one of the students had brought drugs onto the school bus. And there was a person, one of the students, had consumed some of these drugs, and he was just kind of just acting crazy, and just, you know, and it was made known that he took these drugs because he didn't know how to cope or deal with his anxieties of everything that was happening and how things were transpiring through each scene of the dream. So, but fast forward, there was a room set aside, and the students who had survived, they were in this room, and I began to hear worship. You could see students lifting their hands in worship. There was a student praying, but there was such worship that was going up to the Lord. And all of a sudden, after that, I could hear a song being played. And the song that was being played was "I Told the Storm." Now, I don't know if any of you have ever heard this song. It's a very beautiful song, and I'm going to play a snippet of that song right now. So take a listen. Oh yes, I did. You've got to go, yeah. Go away. I command you to move. Oh yeah. Oh, storm, yeah. You don't have a choice in the matter. You have to see. Yes, so some of you may have, I'm sure, have heard of this song before, and I think I've played it on one of the Thursday Live. I thought it was very profound that this would be a song that would be played after this horrific situation had just took place. And here it is, you have the survivors of this event worshiping. And as this song, "I Told the Storm," started playing, it showed me sitting amongst these group of people, and I was singing along with this song, but my voice was overshadowing the voice of the record that was playing. And as I was singing this song, I began to go in worship, and my hands were being raised, and I just started speaking in tongues. And I was so in the spirit of God, like just so caught up. It took another student, he had a bucket of warm water, and he just threw it on me. And I just remember from the top of my head all the way down, I could just feel this warm water. And it wasn't like anything that I believe was done in some type of, you know, mean situation. It was a way to gently help me come out of that worship, because the next scene was showing that now the people were being escorted to freedom. So they went into this worship, and after we came out of the worship, that's when they were rescued out of this place. Now, when I woke up from this, of course, I was kind of just like, whoa, like, Lord, what was you showing me? Like, this was a lot. Like, it was very, very detailed. And I will begin by saying, you guys, I don't fully know everything that God was showing me, but this is what stood out to me. Number one, I had this dream on Mother's Day. I'm a mother, and I have children that are a part of this young generation. You know, they're beginning to enter into society as young adults. And these students, these high school students, were being depicted as young adults that were about to be entered into society. So for this bus to take them to an unknown place, it seemed like this place represented a testing of some sort, a weeding out of some sort, because you had a group of people who didn't make it, but you had a group of people who survived. And again, I don't fully understand the scope of everything that was shown to me. But, you know, one of the things that does stand out is the fact that these students were being supplied with alcohol. And I feel like, you know, when we look at alcohol from a spiritual perspective, it's a way to keep you in a drunken state, to keep you to where you're not sober minded. You're easily consuming the filth and the misdirections of how society is leading these young people and these children astray. You know, we look at music, we look at the movies and, you know, TV series and just social media. Everything is being so hypersexualized. Everything is being so perverted. And this is what they're growing up into. This is the culture that the enemy is trying to shape and mold them into. And so that man who was represented as a supplier in giving them this bourbon, I felt like that was a spirit. That was a spirit that is trying to keep them in this drunken state, which is why these students looked like they were just kind of zoned out. It's like they had no mind for themselves. They just kind of went along with the program. And, you know, the other scene where I saw the earth opening up, you know, we see in the Old Testament where there are a few scriptures where it speaks about how the earth opened its mouth and it consumed those who fell into the earth. And that was what stood out to me, because when I was watching this scene play out, it disturbed me so bad, because like I said, I felt so helpless. It's like I'm watching this and it's like there was nothing I could do to save them. I had to watch this play out before my eyes. And even when I saw some of these people who were hanging by their nails, just trying to hold on so they didn't fall in, and there was nothing that they could do. They didn't have the strength or the capacity to save themselves from that situation. And ultimately they ended up having to fall in to that earth that had opened up underneath them. It was such a hard scene to watch. And I believe that this is these are the traps that the enemy has set out before, not just, you know, humanity as a whole, but look at how he's specifically targeting our children. You have to see that the enemy is not just going after them in the ways that he is if there wasn't a reasoning behind it. Yes, Satan wants to destroy all of humanity. We know that and we understand it. There is a reason why Satan is so hell-bent in destroying our youth. And it's because he knows that God is going to use the youth in these last days. Even when we look at in the scriptures, when it says that in the last days, God is going to pour out his spirit upon all flesh. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your young men will have visions. You know, these are the things that Satan is trying to get ahead of, because it's no different than how it was in the days of Moses, how it was in the days of Jesus, when Satan was trying to stop the purpose. And so that's exactly what he's doing now. He knows God is going to use the youth in these last days. And what he's doing is he's setting these traps, and he's trying to prevent them from entering into destiny. Even when you look at these abortions that are taking place, he's doing the same thing. It's the same spirit that told King Herod to kill all of the male children that were 2 years and younger in hopes that he could get ahead of the Messiah coming into the earth. The same way he tried to kill all of the male children when Moses was born. It's the same spirit. He has been after trying to prevent and stop God from doing what God is purposing to do in the earth. And the thing is, Satan doesn't understand that there is nothing he can do to stop what God has purposed. I believe that with everything that we're seeing being unfolded and being exposed, it's giving us opportunities to pray against what the enemy is doing. It's giving us different strategies and how we can start praying against this stuff. I say often, our prayers are powerful. When you pray, your words, whether you're praying out loud or whether you're praying inwardly, your words, the words that you're speaking, they take shape in the spiritual realm. When you look at how Daniel was praying and the principalities were holding those prayers, he was holding those prayers because he knew that what Daniel was praying for was going to manifest in the natural realm. And there were principalities that were trying to create this chaos and this dysfunction in the earth. And this is why we cannot be so quick to think that what we are praying about, God is not hearing us. God hears our prayers, but you have to understand there are principalities, there are demons, there are different spirits that have different rankings and different territories upon this world, upon every city, every state, every country, every area. We know because we saw in Ephesians 6, there are different levels of rankings of demonic entities that are governing this whole world. And they have certain agendas. They have certain things that they are in position to do. They have certain requirements, certain things that they have to carry out. And this is why I'm saying that you are such a threat to the kingdom of darkness, which is why Satan does not want you to ever come into your true spiritual identity, because he fears what you can actually do to tear his kingdom down. And what he's hoping is that you will never understand that, and that you will never come into the position that God has purposed for you to walk in. And what he's doing to these children, just how everything has become so upside down, and they are being so brainwashed by just social media and the music and the celebrities, is very just disturbing on so many levels. Although there has been such a tragedy when it comes to the damage that the enemy has caused, God has the final say. You have the authority to cause whatever the enemy is trying to do over your children to cease. You have the authority to stop any plots, plans, or schemes that the enemy is targeting towards your children. You can pray for their future spouses. Our children are going to be used in a mighty way. You may have seen some setbacks when it comes to the path your children has gone in, but don't give up. Because the Bible says that when you train up a child in the way that he or she should go, when they are old, and old don't mean having gray hair. Old means as they get older, as they grow and mature in age. When they are old, they will not depart from it. You have to believe that even when your children are no longer in your home, God is with them. You have to know who your God is, and that all of your prayers that you have prayed in regards to your children, God has heard every last one of them. Every last one of them he has heard. So this is a call to intercede on the behalf of the youth. It doesn't just have to be your children that you're interceding for. We need to intercede for all of these children out here. But I believe that what God was showing me, he was showing me what he sees. Yes, it was hard to watch this earth being opened up and swallowing, consuming some of these children. But understand, God sees this every day. He sees humanity being swallowed up every single day. We have the right to speak against what we are seeing taking place in this earth. What we see taking place in the areas around this world that we reside in. You have the authority to speak against this. So I just wanted to come, share this, take this to the Lord in prayer. But understand, God is a very intentional God. And him showing me this on Mother's Day was very intentional. It was extremely intentional. God needs all of us to start opening our mouths and praying against what the enemy is doing. So, again, take this to the Lord in prayer. I love you all. Lord willing, if he shows me anything else, I will definitely let you all know. God bless you all. Take care. Bye.